Hey, everyone! Have you ever walked into a church and wondered, wait, is this Catholic or Protestant? Or maybe you've heard people debating the differences between these two branches of Christianity and thought, what's the big deal? Today, we're diving into the 11 key differences between Catholicism and Protestantism, from how they organize their churches to how they view Mary. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about understanding the faith, culture, and history of these two major Christian branches. If you're Catholic, especially here in the US, or just curious about religion, this video is for you. Drop a comment and let me know what you think, okay? First, let's set the stage. Both Catholics and Protestants are major branches of Christianity, worshiping God, believing in the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and that Jesus died on the cross to save humanity. But about 500 years ago, a guy named Martin Luther sparked the Reformation, splitting the Church and giving birth to Protestantism. Since then, these two paths have evolved with unique differences from how they read the Bible to how they build their churches. Ready? Let's jump into the first difference. The first difference is about the source of doctrine. If you grew up Catholic, like many in the U.S., you're probably used to priests quoting the Bible, but also referencing tradition, teachings passed down from the apostles, and church decisions like papal encyclicals. Catholics believe these complement the Bible, creating a fuller picture of faith. But for Protestants, it's simpler. The Bible alone is the ultimate truth, a principle called sola scriptura. If it's not in the Old or New Testament, they don't buy it. This leads to very different approaches to faith. What do you think about sticking only to the Bible? Share your thoughts in the comments. Next, let's talk about church organization. If you've ever been to the Vatican or watched a canonization on TV, you know the Catholic Church has a tight, centralized system. At the top is the Pope, seen as St. Peter's successor, leading the global church. Below him are cardinals, bishops, and priests, forming a clear structure. In the U.S., you see this in big archdioceses like New York or Los Angeles, all tied to the Vatican. But Protestants? No central headquarters. Their churches operate independently, with local councils making decisions on everything from sermons to organization. This makes Protestantism more flexible, but also super diverse, with denominations like Baptists or Evangelicals. Which system do you vibe with more? A global structure or independent communities? Let me know. The third difference is about Mary, a topic close to many Catholic hearts. If you've ever prayed the Rosary or attended a Marian feast, you know Catholics honor Mary as the Mother of God, Mother of the Church, and patroness of many parishes, even countries. In the U.S., places like the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in D.C. are icons of this devotion. Many believe Mary has appeared, like at Fatima or Lourdes, bringing graces. But for Protestants, Mary is seen as Jesus' earthly mother. They respect her, but don't pray to her or venerate her like Catholics do. Some Protestants even call her Mrs. Mary instead of Our Lady. That might feel surprising if you're used to Catholic culture. How do you think this difference shapes faith? Drop a comment, and we'll keep exploring in the next part. Okay, we've covered doctrine, church structure, and Mary. Now let's dive deeper into the next differences between Catholicism and Protestantism, from how they view saints to how they build churches. These aren't just theological details, they shape how we experience faith in daily life, from your local parish in the U.S. to communities worldwide. Let's keep this journey going, and don't forget to comment if you have questions or want to share your own story. The fourth difference is about saints and angels. If you've ever attended Mass at a Catholic church, like St. Patrick's in New York, you've probably seen statues of St. Peter, St. Paul, or martyrs all around. Catholics believe saints are powerful intercessors with God, and we honor their legacy. Angels, like Archangel Michael, are also venerated. But for Protestants, it's a different story. They acknowledge saints and angels in the Bible, but don't pray to them or venerate them. For them, God alone is the focus of worship. If you've ever chatted with a Protestant friend, they might wonder why Catholics pray to saints. How would you explain it? Share your thoughts. Next up, let's talk about religious images and statues, a difference you can spot the second you walk into a church. Catholic churches, like the Basilica in St. Louis, are often decked out with statues of Jesus, Mary, and saints. These images help worshippers focus during prayer and feel the sacredness. But step into a Protestant church, like an evangelical one in Texas, and it's much simpler. You'll see a plain cross, no crucified Jesus, and zero statues or religious art. Protestants believe images could lead to idolatry, so they steer clear. What do you think about this difference? Would you feel different in a church with just a cross? The sixth difference is about pilgrimages. If you're Catholic, you've probably heard of pilgrimages to the Vatican, home of St. Peter's Basilica, or Lourdes in France. These are seen as holy sites where people pray and seek a deeper connection with God. In the U.S., folks might visit places like the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Wisconsin. But for Protestants, pilgrimages aren't a thing. They believe you can worship God anywhere, from your local church to your living room. This makes their faith more flexible, but less tied to sacred sites. Ever thought about going on a pilgrimage? If so, where would you go? The seventh difference is about priests and clergy. In the Catholic Church, priests take a vow of celibacy and are seen as mediators between God and people, administering sacraments like forgiveness or baptism. In the U.S., you see priests leading parishes with dedication, but they don't marry. Protestant pastors, on the other hand, can marry and have kids, living like regular folks. They're not seen as mediators, but as guides for faith. To become a pastor, they study and get appointed by a council. Does the celibacy of Catholic priests make a big difference to you? Let me know in the comments, and we'll wrap up with the final points. We've come a long way exploring key differences between Catholicism and Protestantism, from saints to clergy roles. Now, let's cover the final 4 differences and tie it all together to see the big picture. These points might inspire you to share your own faith story. Ready? Let's go! And don't forget to comment with your thoughts. The 8th difference is about rituals and rules. If you've been to a Catholic Mass, like at Sacred Heart Church in Chicago, you know it's formal. Sermons, prayers, and the Eucharistic rite. Catholics emphasize the sacredness of these rituals. But at a Protestant church, like a Baptist one in Atlanta, it's much simpler. Worship focuses on sermons and singing, with fewer complex rituals. Their crosses are plain, no crucified Jesus, symbolizing a focus on pure faith. Which worship style do you prefer, formal or laid back? Next, the 9th difference is about sacraments. Catholics recognize 7 sacraments, from baptism to marriage, with the Eucharist at the core, where bread and wine are believed to become Jesus' body and blood. This is huge in U.S. parishes, where Mass is the heart of faith. Protestants only recognize 2 sacraments, baptism and communion, seen as symbolic, not literal transformations. For example, Protestant baptism often involves full immersion in water, not just a sprinkle like in Catholicism. Which sacrament means the most to you? The 10th difference is about confession and atonement. Catholics are used to confessing sins to a priest in the confessional, where the priest, acting for God, grants forgiveness. Many American Catholics find this renewing. Protestants, however, confess directly to God, no pastor needed. They believe Jesus already atoned for all sins, so good deeds show faith, not earn forgiveness. Do you think confessing to a priest is unique to Catholicism? Finally, the 11th difference is about church architecture and the Pope's authority. Catholic churches, like St. John Lateran in Rome or grand ones in the U.S., are ornate, filled with statues and sacred vibes. Protestant churches are modern, simple, with just a cross. On the Pope, Catholics see him, like Pope Francis today, as St. Peter's successor, leading the global church. Protestants reject this, believing only the Bible holds authority. This has shaped history, from medieval times to today, when popes influenced both faith and politics. That's our 11 differences. Despite these, both Catholics and Protestants share a core belief in God and Jesus. Which difference stood out to you? Drop a comment. If you want more on Catholicism, Protestantism, or inspiring faith stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got more great content coming. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.